Yo, what is up, guys? Shinobi here, back again with another video for you guys. And today we're doing a reaction to this guy's video called the Bleach Plot Armor Problem. And we're going to see what he's yapping about. I'm going to be real. I'll leave his video down below, as I do with most of my reactions. But as far as I am concerned with Bleach, if you guys actually read the manga or hell, even watch the anime, a lot of the stuff that people call plot armor, specifically the Vastalorde fight and for some reason the Aizen and Yuha fight, it's like it's like people didn't read the story like at all, especially the Vastalorde one, because that's the one they harp on the most. Nobody really messes around with the Yuha one that much, because we can all agree, in my opinion, that the arrow did kind of sort of not get explained that much. I mean, they showed one panel of, Ryu's dad making the arrow, and then that was it. There was nothing else. I think we're getting something different when it comes to Thousand Year Blood War, as we've already been shown that Ishin and obviously Uri's dad Ruruken are in the Wundenreich right now, or what is the Soul Palace turned into the Wundenreich. So we might get a little bit more context on it in the anime, but as far as the manga, I can understand why people are a little bit salty, how even Bleach fans were kind of salty, but then again, with Tai Kubo and the way his health was, it also makes sense that he was, being rushed, but he did the best he could, in my opinion. But as far as Vastalorde, which is the one I'm probably going to harp on the most, y'all need to actually read this shit. I'm not even going to lie to you. I'm not going to lie to you, bro. Y'all should have read, like, if you didn't read it, I need y'all to read it again, because bro, I swear to God, it didn't make sense. Don't get me started with Dongai, bro. Dongai, bro, I'm getting into it. I'm gonna let him talk. I'm gonna let him talk. Because I can go for days on this.
On multiple occasions should have died, especially Ichigo, who ended up surviving using quote
I can go for days on this.
For the sake of plot. Hence why I decided to make this video in order to see to what extent this criticism is valid. First of all, we have to define the loose term plot armor, because for some reason lately everybody is throwing this term around whenever they don't like a fight's outcome. The general definition for plot,
or in power scale debates, or in anime debates, talking about the most plot armor, bro. You go on Twitter and you talk about who got the most plot armor between Luffy, Naruto, and Ichigo. People go fucking ballistic up in there, especially on Bleach, because obviously Bleach is the one that everybody likes to hate on, even in 2025, which is crazy. But hey, we're here.
armor is whenever the main character survives a danger.
Also, if we're being real here, between Naruto and freaking Ichigo and Luffy, Luffy's got the most plot armor, and it's not even close. There are so many times Luffy should have fucking died, but he didn't, because the plot had to kick in. There were so many. Hell, take the most recent fight he's had that's been like really huge. Kaido whooped his ass so many fucking times. Hell, he was even considered to be dead at one point, but then all of a sudden, Gear 5 pops in. Like, what a whiff. And then the Katakiri fight. I mean, come on, people. You cannot tell me that he should not have died there. You cannot tell me that Luffy shouldn't have died there. Now, obviously, we can't have him die before getting the One Piece, but let's be real. They could have made that a little bit more believable or something, because holy shit, there are so many times where he should have just got his ass handed. Well, he did get his ass handed to him, and he should have died, but somehow
situation because they are needed for the plot to continue.
At least with Naruto and Ichigo, it's like, okay, Ichigo, obviously White told him what was going to happen if he let his guard down.
In the show. And also,
and
if the way this character
even though
survived the
Kurama
dangerous situation was explained beforehand, or at the very least made sense, it shouldn't be considered plot armor. The narrative too plays an important role and shouldn't be neglected. For example, if the sick character survived the situation because their opponent hesitated or was mentally nerfed for whatever reason that is relevant to the narrative, this isn't plot armor, as such situations are actually realistic. And remember that the author is the one that has control over every character and situation, so him putting the protagonist, for example, in a hopeless situation that he intends to save him from later using any plot device is not really plot armor, but just lazy or bad writing if it was executed badly, as he could have not put his protagonist in this situation or make him capable of overcoming it to begin with. We also need to differentiate between what is an unrealistic scenario or really unlikely to happen in the logical sense, and a scenario where the way the character survived contradicts or defies the fictional rules that have already been established. Apply all of that to Bleach and you're gonna realize that most of the criticism is invalid. Bleach does in fact have plot armor in my opinion, but not to the point that ruins the watching experience or the narrative. A couple examples are when Lil Baro shoots multiple Soul Reapers but none of them end up dying, and I think this happened because Kubo didn't know what to do with these characters, so he had to injure them but not kill them, as he might need them later in the story. Lily could have easily aimed for their head for an instant kill, or at least those who got donated should have died. Or when a character gets heavily injured but they walk it off or get healed later despite having a seemingly fatal injury. And the reason why authors keep doing that in most mangas, not in Bleach only by the way, is to try and establish the sense of threat, or they are just doing it to shock the current reader.
Yeah, which makes sense. In fact, honestly, with all the plot armor they be talking about going on in Bleach, I don't hear anybody talking about that. It's always Ichigo. Even though with Ichigo it makes sense. So it's not even plot armor. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, everybody want to talk about Ichigo having plot armor. Bruh, Rukia got stabbed through the chest by Grimmjow, and then Lily Barlow just putting holes in people like it's Call of Duty. What are y'all talking about? Y'all talking about the wrong shit. Like, what the fuck?
But unfortunately, it ends up cheapening the scene in my opinion when the series is finished. Another example is Hinamori. Yeah, that's it. I don't even need to provide further explanation.
This is literally it, bro. The most tanky character in the Bleach, bro. Surviving everything. Survived a freaking stabbing blow from Toshiro with his Bankai active. Keep that in mind. Survived Aizen's freaking shit. Fucking, like, how?
In most of these cases, had these characters survived or not, it doesn't really affect the plot that much. Maybe it's a little bit annoying, but
you all saved their ass so hard here.
Matter. But anyways, let's now address the elephant in the room. Do the good guys in Bleach, especially Ichigo, have plot armor? And the answer is mostly no. Let's take a look at the battles that Ichigo fought but survived or won against strong opponents.
Alright, here we go. I want to see this.
His fight against Renji and Byakuya in the first arc. Firstly, Renji was sealed and didn't take Ichigo seriously as he is just a human with Soul Reaper powers given to him, so there is no reason to go all out. Renji thought it was a hydrogen bomb versus a coughing baby type situation, and also Ichigo's inner powers that were not revealed yet at that time helped him to overpower Renji. And even after that, he didn't really beat him, as Byakuya interfered and one-tapped Ichigo just to spare him later for the sake of Rukia. And the way he survived Byakuya's attack that destroyed his Soul Reaper powers is because he had his own Soul Reaper powers, in addition to Urahara's intervention and his inner powers healing him. So no, the plot didn't really save him in here. Ichigo and his friends storming into the Soul Society and surviving was planned by Aizen.
Yeah.
But as for how did Ichigo survive his fights against high-level Soul Reapers like Renji, Zaraki, and Byakuya, we can't really ignore the narrative side of this fight, as Renji was not actually trying to stop Ichigo, but he saw in him what he couldn't do. Ichigo stood by his ideals even if it meant to challenge the authority of the whole Goty 13 in order to save his friend. Meanwhile, Renji feared what might happen to both of them, so he decided to obey orders, even though deep in his heart, he wanted his friend to be saved.
I'm about to say, yeah, he didn't even want Rukia to be killed the whole entire time, but he was just following orders, so his heart wasn't even in it.
Hence why Renji swallowed his shame at the end of the fight and asked Ichigo to try and save her. But in terms of power, it was a really close fight, as Renji was unsealed, although was mentally nerfed. And remember that a Zanpakuto is a reflection of one's soul, so if the holder of the Zanpakuto is having an internal conflict or doesn't fully accept himself, his Zanpakuto won't be recognizing him either and won't be letting him use the full extent of its power.
Yeah, which we all know Renji has been using half-ass Bankai the whole entire time. Like, let alone the fact that I didn't even know the other half of it. He was only using the monkey side. Literally, that's it. No, he was only using the snake's my side. My bad. He was only using the snake side of his Zanpakuto and never the monkey side. That's the only side he recognized. It's the same with Ichigo. He was only using old man Zangetsu's powers majority of the time until he got the Hollow Mask. He never really recognized White as his Zanpakuto at all. He just saw him as a hollow that he was afraid of, which is another reason why half the damn time when he was in Bankai, shit, he was getting suppressed. Let's be real here. Because he was fighting himself. And we all know that in Bleach, when it comes to your Zanpakuto and your soul specifically, that shit is what makes you stronger. These people ain't doing the same shit that Naruto and the rest of them doing, where they're out there training, doing push-ups and shit. This is a whole different power system and a whole different narrative for that fact. Because another thing with the Zanpakuto, if you have been paying attention, is the fact that the Zanpakuto is them. It's literally a part of them. Like, when you first get your Asuchi, they do this in the lore, they explain all of this. When you get your Asuchi, you literally sleep with it. Not in that sense. So pause. They train with it, shit, everything, bro. Till it gets to a point where the Zanpakuto literally reflects your own soul. Like, this ain't no just regular-ass weapon, bro. So, how Ukiura says it himself, that he literally saw Ichigo And it's like, yo, at some points his spiritual pressure is high as shit, but then there's other times where it's low as hell. He didn't even know what the fuck is going on. Like, come on now, bro. It's because people hop into Bleach, or people will go into Bleach and just straight up ignore shit on purpose to make excuses or to complain about the show, that the show gets a lot of hate. It's actually annoying as hell, especially to somebody like me who really, really gets into depth with stuff like this. Like, it's the most annoying shit on the planet, because people will give all these other excuses to other anime that are, in my opinion, not as deep as Bleach. But then when it comes to Bleach, which has a lot of shit that people just overlook because they're just surface level reading the shit and not thinking about anything else, then all of a sudden now they come up with all the excuses. It's actually insane.
And also, Ichigo at that point has gained immense power in the period between their first and second fight because of Urahara's training.
And you also gotta keep in mind that Ichigo had a resolve to rescue Rukia, so his Zanpakuto bipartisan was just gonna get stronger because his soul literally recognized that he was trying to get stronger, not weaker. Meanwhile, you had Renji, which he explained earlier, who was literally having second thoughts about everything he was even doing because he was basically half-assing his Zanpakuto name, and on top of that, he didn't want to kill Rukia, so he wasn't even really trying to stop Ichigo. We're being real here.
The way Ichigo tied with Zaraki is really simple. Zaraki was subconsciously nerfing himself so that he can enjoy the fights, and that's why he barely beat all of his opponents. And Ichigo's Zanpakuto aided him in that battle by momentarily stopping the suppression of his immense spiritual powers. And after that fight, Zaraki had no reason to kill Ichigo as he wanted to get his rematch. Plus, he never really cared about the Rukia execution thing in the first place.
Yeah, I'm gonna be real. This was also another thing where it's a battle of philosophies. It wasn't even a battle about who would win. Not to mention Kenpachi, yeah, he does not care. He just wants to fight strong people. But it's like, this is a battle of philosophies. Zaraki literally stated in this fight that he should only be relying on his own power, not the power of his Zanpakuto. And that relying on the power of somebody else is weak. Meanwhile, Ichigo, after, getting knocked out and wanting to win, got taught by Zangetsu that him and Zanpakuto aren't weapons. They're not just, tools to be used. They are themselves. And that was literally what White and Zangetsu were really trying to freaking get him to figure out the whole entire time. Let's be real with ourselves. And it took him a long time for him to figure it out. But he did end up figuring it out, at least with the Quincy side. So that's how that ended up happening. Not to mention, the part where he explained that Kenpachi was limiting himself. Like, there are such subtle things when it comes to these fights that people just straight up ignore that just annoys me to no end. Like, these aren't just fights, bruh. This isn't like your normal Naruto sauce, your Luffy and all that. These fights got death behind them, bruh. Not saying that Naruto, One Piece, don't got death behind some of their fights, but these aren't just some regular ass fights, bruh. There's, like, with Kubo literally designed this anime, this manga, with the fact that you can't just read it and it being surface level. And that's not just with the fights, it's with everything. Which is why this anime, in my opinion, why it didn't resonate a lot with younger people, and it resonated a lot more with teenagers or, whatnot, or older people, is because it's not surface level. You can't just turn it on and then just, half watch it and expect to know everything. A lot of people, when they read Bleach for the first time, when they read it back the second time, they discover a lot of shit that they were skipping over when they actually paid attention.
Again, we shouldn't be overlooking the narrative side of this fight. Byakuya didn't really want Rukia to be executed, but rather wanted to uphold to his vow about obeying the law, as he is a noble. However, he didn't have a problem with finishing off Ichigo, which was about to happen if not for White intervention, which is something that was implied to, shown to us but not explained until it was revealed in the 1,000-Year Blood War arc. And by the way...
Well, it wasn't even that, too. If you really want to go there, White was explained way back before then when they first encountered him, bro. When they first did that first kind of, or second, it was round 2, my bad. Round 2 of Byakuya versus Ichigo. Yoriichi literally, like, the mask was there, bro. She literally found a hollow mask on him. They were already giving they were literally giving hints. They were straight up giving hints about White being there throughout the whole Soul Society arc. It wasn't like they just showed him one time or never showed it at all, and then all of a sudden he got this mask on. No, they showed the mask first. Then he fought Kenpachi. No, first he fought Kenpachi, fought White, and then after that, White said something about him taking his power, or his power will be mine someday. And then after that, then after fighting Kenpachi, Yoriji found the mask, and then he fought Byakuya, and then White popped up. Like, let's be real here. That shit was not a plot armor moment. Anybody saying otherwise is actually an idiot.
White is capable of destroying that version of Byakuya, as he is shown to possess a power relative to that of a captain. But Ichigo stops White from cooking Byakuya and decides to fight him without White's help, even though he was heavily wounded. Byakuya then has a change in heart after seeing Ichigo's resilience and unchanging will, which is a theme that gets expanded upon later in the full Bring arc, hence why he lost the reason that made him try to stop Ichigo from saving Rukia. Now, this is one of the most brain-dead arguments that anybody can make about Bleach having plot armor, as Ichigo got his fair share of ass-whooping against Grimjaw, but at the same time they were trading blows and Ichigo even injured him. You can say they were relative even before their fight in the Wakemundo arc.
I'm gonna be real, Ichigo and Grimjaw, when it came to their speed and everything like that, during this portion, it wasn't like Grimjaw was completely overpowering him. The problem was Ichigo, he had speed, but his power wasn't there. That was the problem. It's like putting somebody up in boxing who, knows how to punch fast, but has no power behind their punches. That was the problem.
But the reason Ichigo suddenly gotten stronger when Orihime cheered him up is because he was holding back so he doesn't get consumed by his hollow powers, turn into a monster, and traumatize Orihime again. So when she told him to do whatever it takes to not die, he stopped holding back and gave Grimjaw the beating of his life. Might have been a bit exaggerated for Ichigo to look cool in front of the Haz, but this doesn't mean it was plot armor.
Yeah, and if you really want to go there, Ichigo was scared of his hollow powers up to that point in time. Even after he mastered his hollow mask to a degree, he was scared of using them. Hell, you see it when he goes to try and shoot a Getsuga Tensho at aizen. Like, he didn't even have his hollow mask on because he was scared he'd get taken over again. Like, come on, like, I swear once again, sometimes people just don't be reading, bro. And we're about to get into the most controversial one yet.
I'm currently preparing a video about the Ichigo vs Ulquiorra clash to discuss its nuances, as it is one of the most important fights from a thematic standpoint, so I'm not gonna get into much detail in this video, but keep in mind that if you don't understand the significance of that fight to the narrative, you will probably be calling its outcome plot armor. On the other hand, if you think that Ichigo's transformation is plot armor, you don't understand even the slightest bit about Bleach.
Yeah, and you didn't read the damn shit either, or watch it for that matter, because White specifically says, if you fall off your horse, if you even show a slight sign of weakness, I will become the king and knock you off your horse. AKA, I'm taking the fucking sticks. Like, what part of that y'all don't understand is beyond me, and I'm tired of hearing it. I am tired of hearing it, bro. Like, Jesus Christ, like, every time I hear people talk about Vast Lord of Ichigo and how it was plot armor here, it's like, bro, holy fuck. Well, y'all, did you guys even read the damn shit? Like, what, did y'all just forget? Like, I will never understand it. Even in 2025, in good old 2025, there are still people calling this transformation plot armor. And it's actually insane. It's actually insane. Like, you could probably throw this in the most simple format and they'd still call this shit plot armor. It's actually nuts.
Most of the complaints on this fight is about why didn't Ulquiorra finish Ichigo on multiple occasions, and when he did, Ichigo came back with the typical inner demon taken over. And first of all, Ulquiorra was interested in understanding human emotions because he refuses them and likes to destroy them with facts and logic, as he embodies nihilism. So he didn't have a reason to rush killing Ichigo, as 1, he is way stronger than him anyway, 2, he's trying to give him time to see what human emotions are capable of. But from a power standpoint, the moment we see Ulquiorra for the first time, he verbatim states that Ichigo possesses power more than his, but it is unstable, and then tells Grimjaw that if Ichigo goes out of control, he will kill him by himself, which is what he did in their fight. But White saved Ichigo yet again, which was also hinted to multiple times all over the series, but especially in the King and Horse speech. The Ichigo vs Aizen is also one of the most complex fights in the series, and I will probably be analyzing that too as well. But I have already made a video about Aizen in which discusses the reasons behind his defeat. So the outcome of this fight was not really about Ichigo, but rather more about Aizen. And if you're one of those who consider the final Getsuga to be a deus ex machina, it might be to a certain extent. However, the circumstances that helped Ichigo gain such ability were already established before his fight against Aizen, so it is not really anywhere near being bad. You also need to
keep in mind here that this form of Mugetsu that Ichigo is using is kind of hinting towards him using only his Quincy powers here. It's like this form hints more to how Ryu used all of his powers up when he fought Mayuri. It's like the same exact thing. The only reason we don't see it as such is because we don't usually see Ichigo using Quincy powers, but he only used them one time, and that was during his fight with Kenpachi. That's pretty much it. And also to say that this form is plot armor is crazy because of the fact that he literally trained for 3 months straight. Like, this isn't no nonsense. He literally trained in what was essentially the fucking hyperbolic time chamber for 3 months straight. No breaks, by the way. Keep that in mind. He was fighting against Zangetsu for 3 months straight with no breaks. And people want to complain about, oh, we didn't see it on screen, yada, yada, yada. You didn't see Gohan and fucking Goku fighting for how many months in the hyperbolic time chamber on screen either, but you don't say shit about that, so I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Because there are always those people out there talking about, oh, Ichigo never trained for his transformations. Bro, every arc in Bleach was a damn training arc. He had to train with Kisuke just to get his Zanpakuto in the first place. Then on top of that, he had to train to get Bankai. Then he had to go a false Bankai. That wasn't even a real one. It was just a false Bankai. If we really want to go there, Ichigo was running around with a false Shikai the whole entire time because his regular Zanpakuto, the big one that looks like a freaking knife, was even real Zanpakuto, if we're being real. His Bankai state was his Shikai. He was running around with a dull blade the whole fucking show. Pretty much. Pretty damn much. He was running around with a dull blade only using his Quincy powers the whole damn show. Like, if you really want to call Ichigo plot armor, then he should have started out dual wielding from the start with all of his powers active. But other than that, y'all are some capping. So, a lot of cap.
Keep in mind that Aizen was the one who wanted to be defeated anyway, and even then Ichigo would have never won without the help of Orohara sealing Aizen when he was weakened momentarily by Ichigo's attack. And lastly, I just want to get this off my chest, but neither Yuha or Uryu have any plot armor. Yuha is not only the son of the Soul King, the creator and the keystone to all the Bleach universes, but they also hinted to his true powers via the Quincy Emperor song before they were revealed. And even Ichibei feared his true powers, hence why he sealed his eyes so he doesn't have to deal with them. And as for Uryu, I can understand why anime-only fans are complaining about Uryu going on a winning streak, as his powers is yet to be fully explained. But trust me when I say this, he has an arguably top 10 if not top 5 hacks ability in his verse, and he is directly linked to Yuha according to Senjimaro.
Well, I'm gonna keep it a stack with you. But Uryu, I understand why people think he has plot armor, because he was nowhere near as strong as Ichigo, even in the Fullbring arc. Let's be real. Like, he's easily the strongest secondary character in that main group. Like, it goes Ichigo, Uryu, and then Chad, and then Orihime dead last. At least because she's not violent as hell. If she was violent as shit, Orihime would easily be probably number 1 or number 2, because that ability she has is broken as hell. Like, holy shit. But when Uryu got the antithesis, it was pretty much GG's. I'm gonna be real with y'all. There's a reason there is a literal reason why Jugren was even talking about how he had the same letter as Yuha himself, which was the letter A, which was the same letter of the Almighty. And the antithesis, if you really want to think about it, could be a freaking counter to the Almighty. Because think about this real quick. The Almighty affects the future, right? And only the future, right? But the antithesis takes moments that happen between one point and another and reflects it back onto the opponent that dealt it. Meaning that Yuha's Almighty wouldn't work on Uryu's antithesis. Because Uryu's antithesis only reflects abilities that happen between two subjects. It doesn't affect the future. It affects the then and then. The past, essentially, in a nutshell. It's the same way Shukishima's ability worked on Ichigo's bonk. Well, I'm not gonna spoil it. I'm not gonna spoil, but it's the same way Tsukishima's ability works in a nutshell, where it's like, okay, um, I slice this thing and I insert myself into the past. Yuha can't affect the past. He can only affect the future. That's all I'm gonna say there.
Which scales him so much higher than his pre-Thousand Year Blood War version. And remember that all of his opponents in the Thousand Year Blood War arc did not know a thing about his new ability, plus they were not fighting with full strength, either for being caught off guard or because they won't kill their friend.
Yeah, pretty much. Renji, I would say, Renji was the only one, in my opinion, who I think actually kind of tried, whereas Ichigo was more like, okay, I need to figure out what the hell is wrong with you, dude, because you out here switching up like crazy. But either way, W video, I think he explained it in a really short fashion. I didn't know if he wanted to make this a really short video or not, but I think I pretty much covered up all the, the details myself, as this video is way longer than 9 minutes. We're like talking 25 minutes here. But not saying Bleach doesn't have plot armor is a valid statement, because Bleach does have some plot armor, specifically with a lot of the side characters. But we're talking about Ichigo himself, hell no. A lot of the shit is explained beforehand and even foreshadowed beforehand. People will be trying to talk about how Ichigo got Quincy powers out of nowhere, when there's literally, if you pay attention, I'm going to show it to you. Hold up. Let me show you this real quick. Bleach episode 1. And we're going to show some panels here. So we're going to go, where's the pen? I hope I can find it. Damn it, I don't think I'm going to find the, oh yeah, I need to type in volume 1. Because I hate this shit for so, it's like, bro, where is the portion where he's like just sitting on his bed? Because quite literally, I don't think I'm going to find it. But I have the manga in real life, and if you literally look at Ichigo's bed when he's lying down before Rukia passes in here, dude has a Quincy cross on his bed in episode 1. So how y'all out here talking about Kubo didn't foreshadow it is beyond me, my dudes. And also, isn't it really, really odd to you guys that when Ichigo's mom got killed, that, I don't know, Grand Fisher didn't go after Ichigo himself, and we know how hollows work. And we also know that Grand Fisher said himself that he can't take in too much souls, so I mean, like, it's there, bro. You just gotta look for it. You just gotta look for it, man. You just gotta look for it. Like, if you really think about it, if we really want to talk about plot armor moments, Ichigo should have died back in the portion where his mom got killed. But because we know now Ichigo's mom is a Quincy, we know now why Grand Fisher left him alone. Because Ichigo's mom was the real target. And we also know that usually when it comes to people with spiritual pressure, if one spiritual pressure is usually there with somebody who doesn't have a lot, then hollows will specifically ignore one over the other. And in Grand Fisher's case, he couldn't even eat that much spiritual pressure or spiritual energy for that much. So he had to go and dip. It wasn't until later that he came back around for Ichigo when he was older. But yeah, now there's so many hints. And like, Kubo puts so many hints and subtle foreshadowing to the show that it's actually insane how people be talking nonsense on it, but either way, I'll see you guys in the next one. I know it was a long video, but yeah, Kubo's peak, Bleach's peak, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.